Good morning, Mini Path Spiritual Center. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday morning. So happy to see everybody here. Let's come in and find a seat and let's start singing. We're going to start off singing a couple of songs back to back to get our energy up and to get us ready for a great service today. So, on behalf of Reverend Deb Moore, I'm Ryan Gill, and this is the entire Sanctuary Band. All right, that's Jackie, Jackson, Daphne, and Mary Grace. Let's start singing Swing Wide the Doors, one of our themes. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. 2, 3, 4. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years, and I've learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper light. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. Lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Say it again. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Please be seated. All right. Whew. Okay. All right, this is your official welcome to Many Paths Spiritual Center. Many Paths Spiritual Center is, we call it a place for authentic transformation. And this is a place where you can come every week and remember who you really are. Who you are, not who the world thinks you are, not who everyone else in the world around you thinks you are, but who your authentic self is, and that is that you are a divine child. So we come here to remember who we truly are, and we do that by coming together in community, and we come here to learn some tools that we walk, so that we can walk our spiritual path in a productive way. Wherever you are on your spiritual path, you are welcome here. This is a no judgment zone. If you are a judger, change your ways. Just stop. I find myself doing that quite often when I start spinning out and going on, worrying about this or whatever. I just have to say, Ryan, just stop. Cut it out. There is nothing you can do. Breathe and move on, right? So no judgment allowed on this property. So happy to have everybody. We are a vibrant spiritual community, so I do believe we got plenty of announcements to go through. Hey, let's welcome Julie. Or is it the Godfather? Or oh, I see it. She's crazy and she's kooky.
And so mysterious and ooky, baby. This is a white grape. I don't smoke, but this really tastes delicious, dry. That's it. That's how they get you, but it won't get me. Because discipline is my secret sauce, baby. That's what I was told in my horoscope. But I'm thinking there are so many other ingredients to mention, right? Everyone has that secret sauce, and you guys power, you got confidence, right? So, and no judgies here.
Nope.
No judgies. All right. My Morticia shirt. I'm manifesting, baby. I'm manifesting. Cara mia. So, anyways. I've been watching a little bit of show on Netflix. Can y'all tell which one? Okay. I have a Wednesday jacket, too. I'll wear that next one. So anyway, I'm just happy.
But she only wears it on Wednesdays.
Exactly. I think, yeah, Jackie, don't. All right. So happy Sunday, everybody. Good to see you. It is Virgo season, I believe. So who are Virgos out there? Any Virgos? All right, Crystal, it's your day. It's your season. Anyway, y'all been working hard looking at social media and seeing pictures of grandchildren, flowers, gardening, working out at Shrubbery, and Ryan and Frank, John doing recovery. I hope that's going well. So many of you have shared your stories, and you're working really hard. So it's a good thing, and we celebrate it. I'm finally in, and I meant to say last week, I am box free from moving in. Like, no cardboard, baby. No cardboard. And I was walking like this for about a week after, but it's all good. Ryan and I were talking about those little muscles after doing yard work. You know what we're talking about. But anyway, it's a good thing to be and right near two big major parks. So, God, and it's close to everything. Deb, close to everything. I told you, got these restaurants, got Indian restaurants. It's beautiful. And yeah, so it's a good thing. So I'm celebrating, and the one thing about me is you know what you're going to get because you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. And you know that's going to happen. So if you ask me to do something, be ready. All right, here we go. Announcements, and that's what we're here for right now. All right, join Steph and Jackie for the Happy Class this Tuesday, August 26th. This class will feature a feel-good yoga groove followed with a soothing sound bath and aromatherapy. Cost is $20 and sign-ups are in the front room. And this is only a few spots left, so sign up, get your spot. Satsang Circle with Reverend Deb. We got Friday, August 29th. That's coming up, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Bring questions, concerns, joys, gratitude, or just your presence, which is always enough as we share truth and oneness in beloved community. Thanks so much again for doing that. And your message, it was so powerful last week. So we're looking forward to more of the same. Friendship Sunday, September 14th. Bring a friend to our Sunday celebration. Let's make some memories and new friends. Always fun. Join us for Pranic. I almost said, I thought it was a panic. And I'm like,
no. We're not going to get healed by panicking.
No, total opposite. Total opposite. Think calm. Pranic Energy Healing Clinic on the third Sunday of each month. Deborah Champion will be hosting that event, and that's open to anyone who's open to, energy healing. The clinic will be open from 4 to 6. I get choked up on my own jokes. So that clinic's going to be happening. It's going to be amazing. All these events, y'all are great. Manifesting, all you got to do is snap, snap. You can manifest the beach. Snap, I'm there. Manifest the mountains. Snap, snap. Manifest kissing a beautiful woman. Oh, that's just me. All right. So I'm just going to keep doing that throughout the service. All activity, or your significant other, all activity or meeting links and contact numbers can be found on the website, Weekly Happenings, Google Calendar. You can always email the church. Y'all have a snap, snap week.
Everybody say hi to April.
Good morning, Mini Paths.
Good morning.
Let's begin this portion of our service by taking a deep, centering breath. Today's centering thought is love, peace, and joy are our highest spiritual principles. When we experience love, peace, and joy within the human experience, love can be warm and fuzzy. Peace can be calm and tranquil. And joy can be a feeling of pleasure that comes from an earthly experience. But when we experience these emotions through the divine presence that lives in all of us, we can have a deeper, richer experience that can totally transform our lives. When we embody divine love for all of creation, we can feel the interconnectedness of all life. In divine love, we have a genuine desire to see the good in everything. And we are open to seeing everyone as who they are, a divine child of God. When we know in our soul that we are a child of the divine, we can experience joy like a little child. From this perspective, finding joy becomes easier because we know that the creator of the universe has it all under control, and joy is our divine birthright. When we follow this train of thought, peace becomes more than just a fleeting feeling, because we know that in God, all is well, life is good, and we are truly blessed. The deeply rooted peace of God extends over all creation, and we appreciate every encounter as an aspect of the divine. Now please repeat these affirmations after me. I see love in every person and every situation.
I see love in every person, in every situation.
I experience true joy when I know that I am a divine child of God.
I experience true joy when I know that I am a divine child of God.
I begin each day in gratitude and end each day in peace.
Thank you, April. Are we ready to sing? sing. So this month we've been revisiting songs that we've enjoyed this year. We normally do a different monthly mantra at this time every month, so we're just kind of doing the greatest hits so far. They're my greatest hits. You may have others that we're not able to get to. If you do, just let me know and we'll do them again, I promise. I'll get them on the schedule, absolutely. So today's going to be, we're going to revisit Pride Month, the month of June, where we did Proud. So that joy that we were just talking about, let's feel that as we stand up and sing Proud. Please be seated.
Good morning, everybody. It is such a pleasure to see all of you here today. I have a question for you. You don't necessarily need to answer this out loud unless you just can't help yourself. How many times do you think we've said the word God today in this service so far? Huh?
A few.
A lot?
Yeah, a few.
A few, right? So now let me ask you a second question. And this one you can just answer in your own spirit. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being super comfortable, I love it, say it again, and 1 being, how dare you, I don't ever want to hear that word again in my life, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable did you feel every time that word was sung or said? God. How comfortable. And yeah, some folks 10, some folks 1. 10 is,
The
say it
best.
again, I love it. Huh? 3, 4, 10? 10, right? All right, we're all different, aren't we? But I want you to take that into this meditative space. And the first thing I want you to do is, after we kind of, let's just go ahead and close our eyes. Take a big deep breath and let it out. Settle in your seat. And I want you to take that word, God, and put it outside the door of your being. Put everything outside the door. We know that to truly rest in pure presence, to be wholly centered in our essence, who we are. We already know that we have to put aside our identity. We have to put aside our hurts and our wounds, our emotions, our personality, our name, our worries. And I suggest that you also have to put aside any perceptions or conceptions you have about existence, including any ideas you have about God. If God is a concept that is very clear to you, that you feel very comfortable with, set it aside for right now. Set aside your attachment to what God looks like or how God acts, what God wants. If you would just as soon never hear the word again in your life, take that resistance and set it outside the door right now too. Every reaction you have to that word, whether positive or negative or neutral, set it aside for a moment. experience nothingness. No attachment to anything. No ideas about anything. In the stillness, in the silence. When we are successful at setting everything aside, when we let go of every last concept, we often find that we start to feel a sense of peace. And from that peace, we start to feel a depth of love. For ourselves in this world. And maybe we even say to ourselves, there it is. There it is. That's the love I knew existed. That's the love I want to live in and from. That's the love I want to determine my every move. All other questions aside, the one question I want to live from is, what would love do now?
Just before you say something you can't take away, take a breath and let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. Wondering if you should cross that line for good. Whatever you decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Everything is even, and I from inside. What would love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know that's real. So just before you say something you can't take away, take a breath, then let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. What would love do now? What would love do now?
I've been a 1 and I've been a 10. In case you're interested in knowing. I don't know what I am right now. More like a 4, probably, Peggy, to be quite honest with you. More like a. Okay, well, that's what the song does. Absolutely, that song puts me into a 10. So, about 20 years ago, I was watching a friend's child, 4-year-old little boy, and I was watching this child, and, you know, I'm not like a natural maternal kind of person. There's an age where I love them, but it involves balls and bats, all right? So I was trying to kill time with this kid, and we went to the park, and we, you know, fed the ducks and all this kind of stuff, and then we got in the car, and I said, "Are you hungry?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what do you want to eat?" And he said, "Chick-fil-A." And I was already about, I don't know, 8 or 10 years into a good little boycott of Chick-fil-A. And I thought, well, you've done it now. I cannot explain social issues to this 4-year-old child, right? So I thought, all right, I'm going to take him because I want to just keep him quiet. I'm going to take him to But I'm not going to eat anything, right? I will buy him some food, but I'm not going to eat it. And before you think I'm judging, as Ryan told us we are no longer allowed to do ever. Before you think I'm judging, my wife, Nikki, regularly stops at Chick-fil-A. She usually tries to throw the bag into the trash can before she comes in the house. It's all good. I have no judgment. It is pretty good chicken, I gotta say. But I took this little child to Chick-fil-A and bought his food, and we went and sat at a table, and because he got a kid's meal, he got a little set of kids' paraphernalia and like a little booklet where he could color in and had very, very soft, subtle moral messages to it, right? And then I turned it over on the back, and I saw that it had been published by Focus on the Family, right? And as you might have seen, Focus on the Family was started by a man named James Dobson, who just this past week passed away, right? If you grew up in traditional fundamental Christianity during the era of the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, you knew who James Dobson was. And he wrote a book called Dare to Discipline. Now, I'm not going to tell you anything about how to raise your child. I'm going to say that when it comes to children, and even my pets, I lean toward discipline, right? Yeah. Because the word discipline, by the way, simply means to teach. It doesn't mean to punish. But we've turned it into to punish. And James Dobson's Dare to Discipline was a book that said, don't spare the rod, right? And as a matter of fact, it led to some groups that took it a little too literally and probably delved into what I would term to be child abuse. And then, of course, his focus on the family became one of the most vocal opponents of LGBTQ rights, right? So as a lot of people, if you've seen it on social media this week, a lot of people have faced the news of his death kind of like, I can't remember who said it, I don't celebrate anyone's death, but I've read a few obituaries with a bit of joy, right? And that's a weird place to be in. We don't want to be in that way. But the truth of the matter is, there was a lot of damage left by this person. And a lot of, there's a lot of folks who have stuff wrapped up. This man probably, well, the one good thing, if you have to go back and think about one good thing for everyone, this man probably led more people to deconstruct their faith than any other single human being, right? Yeah, and so that might have been the role that he was here to play. And in the process of that deconstruction, a lot of times people start with this question right here. Now, the question that I have for you here is, you say, is that a question? It's just a word, isn't it? Because what question do you even ask? It's the God question. Is there a God? Is God a he? Where does God live? How does God act? What does God, where did God come from? Right? What does God want from us? What are God's expectations? What are God's rules? What is his nature? And so these are questions that we wrestle with, especially in deconstruction, because until that point, a lot of us, and everyone who's raised in the West has a certain amount of this, but those of us who were raised in a fundamentalist church got a whole shoebox full of it, right? And so a lot of us have to start from this question of, who is God? We have this very specific idea of God that we were given, and you don't question it. You don't question it. And the beauty of deconstruction is it says, let me tell you something, God is not afraid of your questions. The divine is not afraid of your questions. Whatever you want to imagine that to be, bring it. Question everything. And down through time, there have been all kinds of philosophical arguments, both for and against the existence of God, right? The arguments, some of the common arguments against one is the problem of evil. If God is all-powerful, then he must be cruel, because he allows evil to exist. But if God is all good, then he must not be powerful enough to stop the evil that happens in people's lives. So God is either, right, impotent or cruel. There's another one, that an argument against God, the inconsistency in God's attributes. This is a great little if a tree falls in the forest kind of question for you. Can an omnipotent being create a stone so heavy it can't lift it? Can an omnipotent being, all-powerful being, create a stone so heavy that it itself cannot lift it? Right? So there's a little inconsistency. What about omniscience versus free will? If God is omniscient, then he already knows what we're going to do. So do we really have free will, right? So there's that question that philosophers struggle with. There's the question of the hiding God, the hidden God. If God loves humanity and desires a relationship with humanity, then why did God keep itself a mystery, hidden away from us, so hard to find that we spend our whole lives going in search? There's the question of religious multiplicity and confusion. If God is this loving God, why does he allow all these differences in ideas that people hold to so firmly that they end up killing each other over them? Right? Why? Why does God allow it? But then there's philosophical arguments for the existence of God. There's the cosmological argument, the argument of the first cause, which says, if we exist, something must have started it. There must have been a first thing that started it that was the cause. Of course, physicist or a biologist or whoever, whatever ologist deals in this kind of thing, would probably say, well, yeah, it was a big bang, it was an explosion. Right? That in and of itself, you could go back and forth and back and forth. There's the teleological argument, which says that creation is complex. It is so complex, and it took a designer, someone whose purpose perfectly designed it all to work together. And of course, the biologist would come around and say, or it took evolution, which turned everything into what it needed to be, right? So it worked together. There's the ontological argument that says whatever you can conceive of must exist. This goes back to Platonism and the idea of forms, Plato, and the idea that for every thought you have, for every dog, there's an ideal dog in the world of forms. For every God thought, there is a God. There's the moral argument. The existence of moral truth implies there must be a moral lawgiver, a God who establishes this. So it's all confusing. If you've ever questioned or worried about or struggled over, is there a God? You're in good company. You're some of the greatest philosophers in the history of the world, right? So let's go back in time a little bit. Is that far enough? Is that far enough, right? So archaeologists, and again, I'm not one of these ologists either, so please don't hold me to scientific truth. Always check my scientific truth against something else, right? But archaeologists have discovered at least 6 distinct species of, I think they're all in the Homo genus. Homo habilis, that's actually spelled wrong. Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalensis. I don't know if that's the other 2. I don't know if they're in the Homo genus or not. The Floriensis. I saw somewhere, this is really bad, but someone called this the Hobbit people, like a real scientist, which is really kind of horrible. But anyway, the Denisovans, the Homo sapiens, right? Homo meaning man or human. Homo is a genus of great apes that we belong to. And they all of these evolved from various species of Australopithecus, which were the species right before Homo sapiens and the Homo genus. At some point, I'm thinking, probably one of these folks, there had to be a person one time who was the first person to see lightning strike a tree and it burst into flames. And until that time, I'm imagining that the consciousness of these various species probably didn't even consider the concept of God. They ate, they slept, they had sex, they had babies, they fought, they lived, they died. That's it. They hunted. Maybe they learned to build shelters. Eventually they learned to make tools, right? But I think probably their consciousness didn't even go out that far until that one dude, I'm going to say it's a dude, maybe it's a woman. This one woman sees this lightning strike a tree and goes, whoa, that was a dramatic event. And then maybe she stops and she looks up at the sky and she begins to ponder. And she thinks, where did that come from? What's out there? Who is out there, right? And this begins this eons long, thousands of years, this tendency to see a godlike creature, a supernatural energy in powerful events. The God of fire, the God of flood, the God of rain, the God of wind, the God of the sunrise, the God of the sunset, the God of various animals, the God of war, the God of death. Right? All of these things are so much. We begin to see something bigger than ourselves, outside of ourselves and outside of our experience. And this continues to expand and evolve along with Homo sapiens, who are the species that lasted, right? And this stayed the general case among various tribes on Earth for a very, very long time, until, this is a painting by Raphael, the Italian Renaissance artist. It was painted in about 1509, 1510. It's called the School of Athens. It hangs in the Vatican Museum today. Right in the center, the 2 figures in the center are Plato and Aristotle. Down here on the left, right in the book, I think that's supposed to be Pythagoras. Over there in the red is Socrates. Heraclitus is there, Diogenes. These are not even people who live necessarily in the same time frame with each other, but it's just all these philosophers from ancient Greece. And so I use this picture to introduce you to something that Carl Jaspers calls the axial age. His book is The Origin and Goal of History. And then Karen Armstrong, whose book I've been using here, she popularized this idea in one of her books called The Great Transformation. And the axial age is a period of time roughly about 800 BCE to 200 BCE, 600 years, which is nothing in the course of human history. 600 years where there were these broad changes in religious and philosophical thought, right? Huge things happened during this time. This is when we have ancient Greek philosophy. We're inventing things like, I don't know, algebra, right? And we're coming up with things like, we're coming up with all these ideas, and you have all these philosophers, Homer and the other philosophers, that are basically creating Western thought. In China, this is the era that Confucius and Lao Tzu live in, creating Eastern thought, right? Hinduism shifts from the Vedic period of ritualism and sacrifice to the Upanishadic period of mysticism and philosophy. Buddha lives in this period. Buddhism is formed during this time. Zoroastrianism already existed, but it flowered during this time. Jainism, Platonism, Stoicism, many incredibly important lines of thought and belief either began or greatly transformed during this period, and it was the Jewish era of the prophets, right? So you have these Jewish prophets. Early Hebrew people, hold on to your seats right now. Early Hebrew people, the early Jews, had no problem with polytheism. They had no problem with polytheism. In fact, they understood that to be reality because it had been the reality of humanity for so many thousands of years. And the shift to monotheism did not begin with the belief in one God. The shift to monotheism began with the belief that one God was better than the others, right? Not that there was only one. And so you have these groups of people, these prophets, Hosea, Amos, Micah, Isaiah, Nahum, Zephaniah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Ezra, Nehemiah. All of these prophets come along, and many of these were reluctant prophets, according to their own text. They each have a unique experience of God, and they start building on one's original idea to decide, let's use Yahweh as the best God. Yahweh was a God that already existed, right? Let's use Yahweh as the best God. Some of these guys, every one of them had their own unique experience that I talked to God. God came to me in a vision. And this own unique experience. And in fact, some of these guys were downright weird. Ezekiel went through a eating excrement period, okay? So we're talking about, there are some of these guys who'd probably get a mandatory 48-hour hold in the modern era, right? So a prophet would come along and say, Yahweh is the only God, and it's the best God, or the best God. You should worship Yahweh. Let's build a temple to Yahweh. You don't have to sacrifice animals to Yahweh, whatever. And then other gods would creep in. Maybe a new king would come along who'd be like, oh, that's okay, put another god in there. Or Asherah, who is considered to be Yahweh's wife, the goddess Asherah. Well, let's build a temple, let's build a statue of Asherah. And then other gods and rituals and sacrifices would come in, and another prophet would come along and say, no, this is why your life sucks, is because you let all these other gods in the temple. So clear those out. Yahweh is the one God. This went for centuries. Centuries of time this went on, back and forth and back and forth. And each of these prophets influenced Jewish thought through their own experience. So Karen Armstrong writes that any major religion consists of a number of independent visions and spiritualities. That's how we build all the religions. This is what she also says. When they attributed their own human feelings and experiences to Yahweh, the prophets were, in an important sense, creating a God in their own image. Isaiah, a member of the royal family, had seen Yahweh as a king. Amos had ascribed his own empathy with the suffering poor to Yahweh. Hosea saw Yahweh as a jilted husband who still continued to feel a yearning tenderness for his wife, his own story, right? And so they attributed to God those same things they were experiencing. I've heard it said before, man is greater than God because man has created infinite numbers of gods, and God has only created one kind of man. Right? And as Anne Lamott says, you know you've created God in your own image when God hates all the same people you do. Right? So, who was Yahweh? Where did he come from? Yahweh was a pre-monotheistic Yahweh, was a Semitic god of war and storms. We're going to get back to that god of war here in just a minute. This is him standing over the Canaanite god of war, Baal. Yahweh's consort, his wife, was Asherah, goddess of motherhood, fertility, and nature. This is the god the Hebrew prophet said, let's take this one. And one of the reasons why they took him was because he was the god of war. We've been oppressed. This other king comes in and takes us over. They take our territory. If you've ever really read the Old Testament, it's like the History Channel. War, 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 right? It's like the History Channel because this is a God who had to fight for his place. Is it any wonder that we have long seen God as a man with a long white beard who tends to be angry a lot? A God of wrath goes to war. A God of anger. The impact of this choice among the ancient gods to be the one God has had a lasting impact that we feel to this day. So, Yahweh, let's break him down for just a moment. Though claimed to transcend gender, Yahweh would remain essentially male, right? So once the monotheistic folks said, okay, Yahweh's the only God now, the only God, and because of that, because Yahweh's the only God, he transcends gender. But of course, we still know of God today, very, very male. As opposed to the pagan perceptions of God, Yahweh became a personal God with human emotions and characteristics. Let me tell you, the Hindus over in India would never attribute things like anger and wrath to Brahman. That God was so far detached from those kinds of emotions but we inherited this God Yahweh who's angry all the time. Well, I grew up with this tattooed on my brain. You should fear the Lord. Your God is a jealous God, right? He's angry. All these kinds of things. Yeah, he has love and compassion. But the early emphases were on anger and wrath. I have a friend who used to say the Old Testament God was God before he had kids. And then he has a kid and he's like, oh, it's okay, honey. Sure, love and compassion. Yahweh had to fight for his place as the only God. This wasn't a natural rise to the top because of perceived importance. The Old Testament is all these battles and showdowns and massacres. Yahweh became the one God on the battlefield. And consider the Crusades down through the last 2,000 years and the religious wars that exist still to this very day. Because the God that was chosen was the God of war. And then, of course, you have the rise of cities and nations that increase Yahweh's importance. As we move from being people who, are nomadic and we live in tents and we, follow our sheep around, and we establish ourselves with markets and craftspeople, and we build little cities, well, then we have to defend that. We have to defend that city. So then there's this idea that comes along that says if you're true to Yahweh, he'll defend your city for you. Right? If you do the right by Yahweh, then Yahweh will defeat your enemy for you. And then came that idea of God's chosen people and favored nations. We still live with that. There's a whole lot of people who see our very nation as a favored nation among God, for God, which seems a little dangerous to me. And of course, after they got rid of all the other gods and goddesses, Yahweh's religion would be managed almost exclusively by men. All the gods are gone, but so are all the goddesses. No more Asherah, no more Ishtar, just one warring God who gets angry and whose image and reputation is solely guarded by men. Karen Armstrong says, Yahweh, therefore, had become the one and only God. There was no attempt to justify his claim philosophically. As always, the new theology succeeded not because it could be demonstrated rationally, but because it was effective in preventing despair and inspiring hope. Right? Our neighbors are attacking, pray to Yahweh, pick up a sword. Our new king doesn't follow our religion, stay true, Yahweh will destroy the king. It was all about safety. It was the theology of terrorism alerts, right? It was the theology of terrorism alerts. And you judged your own faithfulness as a people by your success as a nation. So that's the history of how we got here and what most of us inherited in terms of how we see God, and that brings us to today. And I want to just offer a few ideas for you to take. You know, I'm never ever going to tell you what to think about God, but I want to offer a few ideas for you to just mull over and hang with if you feel so guided to do. There's a cartoonist named the Naked Pastor. I don't know if anybody follows him, but you should. He's fantastic. And so he has this cartoon, says, how do you absolutely know there is a God? Because I can feel his presence. Well, I have never once felt God ever. Well, you shouldn't trust your feelings, right? And most arguments about God end up being this illogical, right? It's like the circular arguments. It's what I use to teach circular argument in my composition classes. And that is this idea, well, how do you know there's a God? Because the Bible says so. Well, how do you know the Bible is true? Well, because God said so. Well, who wrote the Bible? God wrote the Bible. You know, right? There's this circular, the Bible's true because the Bible says it's true, right? God is God because the thing God wrote says it's true, right? So it's very circular. There's no logical way. If there was a logical way, it wouldn't be faith. Right? There is no logical. I'm not going to give you a logical way today. I don't have one. It's illogical, in fact. I will go that far and say it's completely illogical. Almost any defense of God's existence sounds a little bit crazy, but let's try anyway. Letting go of the perceptions we hold of ourselves, our identity, must include letting go of the perceptions we hold of God, God's identity. It's what I tried to do during our meditation today. That's scary for some folks. Some folks cling to that idea of God. It's been my security blanket. It's okay. You're not going to be abandoned, right? Let go of the identity and the concept, because so often that is our own identity and our own concept, and until we can let go of that, we can't settle into a place of pure love and peace. Whatever identity you have attributed to God must be released. Doesn't mean you can't still have it in your life. Let me just let go of all of that right now. So let me offer a few ideas about God from people I respect. Meister Eckhart, from the 12th century, Christian mystic. I pray to God to rid me of God. Rid me of my mental image of God so that only the naked reality remains. Don't let my idea of God stand in the way of my experience of the divine, right? My true experience of sacred presence, because I'm holding so tightly to this idea of God. Thich Nhat Hanh says, I think God is on earth inside every living being. What we call the divine is none other than the energy of awakening, of peace, of understanding, and of love, which is to be found not only in every human being, but in every species on earth. This is God as energy. That's the God that I've become most comfortable with in my own journey. Not as a being separate from, outside of me, living on a cloud somewhere, but an energy of love and divine presence and awareness that is imbuing every part of creation, myself included. Every flower, every tree, every bird. Yesterday, and by the way, those of you who are available to come out Friday night for the song, just a little plug for that. I have a friend who gave me this term recently, post-social anxiety. It's the anxiety you feel after you leave a social situation and you worry about something you said or something you did. And am I the only one who's ever felt that? Okay, everybody ever felt that? Yeah. We're going to talk about that on Friday night, and we're going to talk about one of the ways in which we let go of that. And part of that is through our own idea of ritual. Sometimes we have to burn up yesterday in a burning bowl every night of your life. I release everything that happened today. I did my best. I might have made some mistakes, but I am not carrying it into tomorrow. And that is what a good ritual can do. And in this same kind of way, I release the ideas of God, right? This ritual, perhaps it's this ritual that where I can take myself out of my old idea of God and into the place of God as peace and love. Eckhart Tolle says, God is not a personality outside of you. What God is inextricably part of what you are. God is the dimension of depth within you. God is the dimension of depth within you. This is God as you. God as essence, God as presence. And the beauty of it is that when we approach God in this way, God is never something I can ever be separate from or distant from. That God is the very beingness of life that I carry with me, and I can tap into that every single moment in any situation. I can stop no matter what kind of chaos is happening in my life out here and go, be here now. Be here now. You're standing on holy ground. You're in the presence of the divine. Rumi says, I looked for God. I went to a temple, I didn't find him there. Then I went to a church and I didn't find him there. Then I went to a mosque and I didn't find him there. Then finally I looked in my heart and there he was. Right? I looked in my heart and there he was. This is God outside of religion. Sometimes I look at structured religion, at, what do you call it, organized religion, because we are a disorganized religion. We look at organized religion and I think, oh my gosh, how many different obstacles they put up between them and their own experience of God, their own understanding of God, their own direct essence confronting the essence of God. So this is God that is not hidden. This is God that is right underneath our symbolic noses. I have been looking for God my whole life. Why? Just sit still. Just sit still. It's kind of like, anybody ever do this? I can't find my glasses anywhere, right? I've been looking for my glasses all day long. That's the same thing when we're looking for God. God is right there. Another great theologian, the poet Mary Oliver, says it this way. Why do people keep asking to see God's identity papers when the darkness opening into morning is more than enough? Certainly, any God might turn away in disgust. What she means there is, of course, if you can't see my hand in the sunrise, I can't convince you any other way, right? Think of Sheba approaching the kingdom of Solomon. Do you think she had to ask, is this the place, right? All of the wealth and the riches of Solomon, he was known for being the wealthiest man in the world at that time. All of this wealth. Did she have to walk into the courtyard and go, am I in the right place? No, it was obvious. This is God as obvious, not hidden. Not so mysterious. I know mysterious is still part of it, but not so mysterious after all. God as clearly visible, God as the glory and wonder and splendor of the world we live in and the experience we are having. So I encourage you this week, if the idea of God comes up, or if the idea of this talk springs up, or if you're having any kind of confusion or a moment that doesn't feel right, I encourage you to pause periodically. Whenever it comes to your mind this week, put your hand on your chest. Take a deep breath and close your eyes and say, is this the place? And listen carefully for the divine voice saying, this is the place. You are the place. Namaste.
Thank you, Reverend Deb. I love the idea that if we can just let go of our current preconceived, learned ideas about God, that there just might be something larger, more beautiful, more incredible, more personal by getting to know the divine. Wow. It's a hurdle, but I think we can do it. Yeah. All right. I want to remind everybody that we've got a lot of cool things coming up over the next few weeks. Please find somebody to bring for Friendship Sunday. It's going to be a beautiful Sunday for us to share with our friends. Going to have a lot of cool things. We have a whole new playlist musically for our friends. You're going to love singing along with your friends. Everybody's going to know pretty much everything. And you'll always be able to sing along. That's September the 14th, so bring a friend to that. We've got all kinds of cool things coming up for the holidays, so we're just going to keep you guys busy, and the main thing is we're going to have fun together as a community, right? And hopefully we might learn something too. So I'll remind everybody that we have the blue vase there in the back for your paper contributions. If you want to give via PayPal, there's a QR code there that you can utilize. Also, everything that we do here comes from you. So we appreciate everything that you do, everything that you bring with your financial treasures, everything that you bring with your knowledge, and everything that you bring with your love and friendship. Julie?
I brought spoon tomatoes back here, so you all please get a handful.
Help yourself to some spoon tomatoes from the garden, straight out of the garden. Thank you, Julie. We appreciate that. Community tomatoes. Yeah. All right. So remind you to check your What's Happening newsletter that comes out on Tuesdays to remind you of everything. Keep your calendar going. Let's all stand together and say our closing prayer as we prepare to leave and take on the week. Daphne?
All right, all together. May I stay true to the path that leads me, to the light that is mine to shine. May my light provide help and kindness to others on their journey. May I bring peace to every situation, comfort to the grieving, and love to all beings. May my heart remain centered on what is sacred to my soul, and so it is.
And we let it be. Oh, I was going to play another song. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everyone, have a great week. We'll see you back next Sunday.